Hello, welcome to another episode of the Everyday Hero Show. My name is Swardik Mayanja, and on today's show, I get to talk to this wonderful lady, Sophie, who actually works with me. But the cool thing about Sophie is she takes care of the horses. She trains. You train people to ride horses. You don't train horses, or do you do both?
I do both. Yeah.
She does both. She's a miracle worker. All right, Sophie, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining me.
You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just start from the basics. Mm-hmm. Where are you from, and how did you start the whole horse training extravaganza?
I'm from Littleton, and I started, I think I rode a horse in England at one point, like this tiny little pony.
Were you born in England?
No, my mom's from England.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I was like, I want to ride horses, and my mom was like, no. And so she put me in every sport under the sun, and at the end I was like, I still want to ride horses, so she was like, okay, I guess so.
When I was driving over here, it's my first time in Littleton, I did see a lot of barns.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see a lot of the horse type situation. But I feel like it was meant to be kind of, right? Has Littleton always been home for you?
Yes.
Okay. Did your mom, when she was in England, did she ride horses?
She used to, but a horse took off on her and tried to kill her basically, so she stopped riding.
Just time out. I don't know what a took off means. When you say took off, do you mean the horse literally just ran away?
Yeah, horses are fight or flight. Well, they're flight animals basically.
Okay.
So in the spot of danger, they're gonna take off. They're gonna run and get out of the situation.
Oh,
Every
geez.
man for himself with them.
Really?
Yeah.
And so the horse just left your mom?
Well, she was on his back.
Oh, jeez.
Took off through the woods.
That's really scary. All right, now I understand the situation. Yeah, if I had a kid and my horse took off of me, I probably would not want them to ride horses. All right, so we know where you're from. Do you, has horses, because you said you wanted to ride horses, has that just been the pull? Do you love animals? How is that, where do you think caused you to come to training horses and training riders?
I don't know. I like horses and I love animals, but I was never the kid that read all the horse books, watched all the horse movies. I was never into Spirit, whatever those little kids movies were. I was never into that. I just really wanted to ride them. I love the fact that there's a danger part to it. I love the fact that it's exciting, and the sport that I do in riding is more you can die situation. That gives me. I'm a thrill seeker, I think.
Ooh. Okay, that's a little bit that's a little bit dangerous. A thrill seeker. So I never knew how dangerous horse riding was. So we'll get there, right? We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you describe to us what it is that you do when it comes to training horses, right, and training riders? Explain to us the process, as if we all know I'm ignorant. I don't know anything about horse riding at all. So just explain to us what it is that you do from a beginner and try to get them to get on the horse and look good.
Train a horse or train a kid? There's
and
two
it's
different things.
Very different?
Two very different
Very
things.
different. Let's talk about training a kid first, because I would love to ride a horse one day. So let's talk about that.
The minute I have a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
I usually put them on our most bomb-proof ponies.
Okay.
Or horse, depending on the size.
And bomb-proof, I'm guessing.
Bomb-proof means kids can run run out at them, scream, throw sticks at them. A gunshot could go off, there could be a car crash over here, and it would not spook.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have some of those.
So those horses are ride or die. They're not going to take off with nobody.
And we're in a neighborhood, so it's some of our horses, if a kid runs by with so they come off the bus and they run by with a project, a giant paper thing. Some of our horses will take off, other ones will just be that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you start.
Yeah.
You have to start with the right horse, which makes sense.
Yes.
And how little are these kids? How young can you get a kid to start riding?
Normally, it depends. If you're we start at 5. It's a little bit too young just because their attention span and just the way, you have to be safe around the horses. If they're not paying attention, a horse could kick out at them or just push them over. So we start at 5. A lot of people, privately, if they own their own horse, they start their kids at 3. It all depends on when
This
they want
sounds
to start.
a lot like hockey. I mean, that sounds like you have to start your kids really, really young.
You don't have to.
So is horse riding and being What is it called when you're not racing a horse? When you're just doing like the cool stuff?
It depends. There's different things you can do with horses. So you do race. Everybody knows the famous race horses. Then there's eventing. There's like different categories of riding. So eventing, hunter jumper, sulky races. You can do like derby, kind of cross country endurance rides. Western.
This is a shit ton of different things.
Rodeo. Yep.
Rodeo.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about rodeos. That's exciting. I like that stuff. I like rodeo. I guess probably it's the only other thing I know outside of racing. Okay, all right. So you start with these 5-year-olds, right? You have the bomb-proof horse. You have a 5-year-old. Can you just put him on? It's like if this horse is bomb-proof. What's this horse's name?
Skippy.
The white one that's been walking, the gray one that's been walking up and down here. His name is Skippy.
Yeah.
Do you have to start with a very small pony horse, or can you put him on a regular horse?
Depends on the size of the kid, and usually the height scares them. So if I have a beginner, like older adult, I'll put him on a horse. If I have a beginner 5-year-old, it's probably safer and less intimidating if I put him on a pony.
And do you think the transition from someone starting out on a pony to getting on a horse is humongous, or is it like it's the same situation, just a little bit bigger?
No, it's just a little bit. It's just the height. Like you don't realize how big they are because once you add a saddle and everything, and you get up on the horse, you don't realize how big they are until you get up, and then you like look down, and you're, oh my god, the ground's really far. And the ponies can be a lot more stubborn, so they're kind of. I'm not saying it's like they're awesome to use in the lesson program, but I like to use them because you kind of learn how to be an active rider instead of a passive rider just sitting there and they'll do everything. They're kind of like, well, I don't want to go this way, so we're gonna go that way. Like,
so learning on a pony is.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you able to ride a pony?
Me?
Yeah.
It depends on the pony. So we have an Abbey pony who's like this big, so that I can't fit on, obviously. And then I'm training a pony right now for the school, and I can fit on him.
Well, that's a thing. So, is there a weight limit for like human beings to get on horses?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like usually ponies. It's actually funnier because they're shorter and they're closer to the ground. And they have stockier legs, can hold a lot more weight.
You're lying.
Than some of our
That's
bigger
really
horses.
cool. See, I never knew that. I figured horses would just be like for the bigger people.
Yeah.
But no, so that makes sense. They got the bigger legs.
Well, like in the bigger, stockier horses are definitely will hold a lot stockier people.
Yeah.
The thinner, like racehorse, kind of greyhound looking horse is not going to hold that much.
Okay. Do you deal with any of the racehorses?
So some of our thoroughbreds actually came off of the track. So a lot of eventers, because we do eventing here, come straight off the track because they have that endurance in them. They can withhold a very long run, and they love to jump.
They love to jump.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like to run that much. Do you ever put money on these racehorses? Have you ever gone to the race?
I've been to because I went to Kentucky for school. So I mean, instead of going to football because our football team stunk, we would go to Keeneland, which was a racetrack.
Oh wow!
And I picked the ones that I like. I'm a really bad bettor.
Yeah, you are. I feel like when it comes to racehorses, everyone is. It's hard. It's really
hard because
difficult.
the horses that look lame when they come out, which lame means that they're like limping or something like that, usually win the race. So I have no idea.
Lame. Okay. Cool beans. All right. So now we have our horse, and we're putting them on. We have our kid. We're putting them on a horse or a pony, depending on the size, if they're scared or not. Now tell me. When you are training someone to ride a horse, is it like, all right, I want this horse to just listen to you and like just walk up and down the track or, like do the tricks and stuff? Is that where you guys start first? Or is it like, I want to like go?
So our ponies, or like our school horses, are trained to do walk, trot, canter at a nice pace, and they know our commands. And I usually, for a beginner, we put them on a lunge line, which is like a giant leash.
Okay.
So they go on a circle around me. I'm basically on a leash.
Those,
and so they don't have to worry about steering or anything, and we work on the basics. We work on halting, which is very important. If you can't halt your horse, you're really not gonna.
So what is halting?
Oh, it means stopping.
Okay.
Stopping the horse.
All right.
Then we work on our position, keeping our heels down, sitting nice and tall, sitting nice and back in the saddle, and then I introduce the sitting trot. Okay. I don't really introduce steering until a little bit later on because I work on it a little bit during the end of a lesson, but it's kind of a more complex thing to like handle and to comprehend. So with little kids, they want to go around, they want to trot and everything. So obviously I introduce
I want to trot.
the posting trot, the sitting trot, and that's usually the extent of what we get.
Do people ever these days? Because I know in all like the olden movies, right? The ladies sit on the side. Is that real?
Side saddle, that is real, but
no one does that.
And there's a certain saddle, so it's not like you're just sitting on the saddle. Like they have like a knee block, so it's not. But it's super hard still.
It is.
I tried and I fell.
It's more difficult than. I feel like it should be because you're not balanced.
Yeah,
right?
but I also don't have a side saddle, so I was just doing it for fun and I fell off.
That's too bad. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. So, when it comes to you and horse and this whole thing, I know you train horses. I know you love them. But tell me about your career in horsing. This is beautiful. I mean, look at these animals. I think they're like the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. He is? He's got a fat lip, though. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your career. So you said it took your mom a while to let you begin starting to ride horses.
Just because it was expensive. Horseback riding's so expensive. And I think it sort of scared her too. Like, well, not as much as like she understands the risks, but a lot of family members and a lot of people don't understand when your kid gets on a horse. You obviously have to sign a release form that say if the kid falls off and dies, it's not our responsibility.
That's really scary. That is actually
well,
really
because you think about every sport, you don't have another brain working with you. You might have teammates, but they speak your same language. They have another brain. They don't speak our language, and if something scares them and they take off, how am I supposed to prevent that? I've seen a butterfly land on a horse and he takes off. I literally could not tell you why some horses take off.
But they just do.
Something scares them, or they get stung by a bee and they run. And when the kid falls off, it's just the name of the game. You're working with an animal that speaks a different language that you can't always understand.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, when you say it that way, that's maybe I should hold off on this horse thing. My goodness. Jeez and Lord. All right. So how old were you when you started?
I was 7.
You were 7. She was 7 years old when she started riding a horse. And then, so where did you start? Did you start with the racing? Did you start with the eventing? What did you do?
I started with dressage. It's kind of like
is
ballet for horses. You're given a pattern and you're judged
Excuse me.
You're judged on the fluidity of the movements, balance, kind of poise of your horse.
Were you good?
And
I'm sorry. So when you did the ballet of the horses, were you in high school? Not high school. Was it like a school team, or was it like a travel team, or was it like the mass team? How was
at a barn and you do private lessons?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and did you compete?
Yeah.
Okay.
I competed.
My goodness. So when you're saying it's really expensive, right? Dealing with horses, being in the sport, it's an expensive sport. Is it expensive just because you need to buy your own horse? Is it expensive, the equipment? What's the expensive?
And the lessons. Like a 30-minute private is $65. My pants that I buy, which normally you wouldn't buy a little kid because you wait till they stop growing, but my pants can run from like $180 to like $300. And then my boots that I wear.
That's a lot of freaking money.
The boots that I wear, which are Paddock Boots, they are...
Is it these?
No, these are just muck boots, which also cost me like $200.
Muck boots. $200 muck boots.
Yeah, so Paddock Boots, my Paddock Boots run to like $150, which aren't bad. And then I wear half chaps, which are $150 as well. And then my tall boots to show were $350.
The tall boots.
Yeah, so those are like the ones that you see like in the shows.
Like the pretty ones.
Yeah.
Wow. So altogether, this is like over $1,000 already. And
Yeah,
this is not even counting longer than a 30-minute session.
And then some polos can run from like $50 to like $75.
And a polo is...
It's like a shirt.
Just a shirt.
Yeah. And then
Or
your
do you
helmet-
actually have you ever played the sport polo?
Yes, I actually, my roommates in college, one was the captain of the polo team, and I got to play.
Oh, excuse me. Wait, really?
Yeah.
Were you any good?
No,
It
it was
looks
so
like a
hard.
really difficult
I did it
sport.
once. I
Oh
played
yeah,
it
well, of
once.
course. Well, then of course it's not going to be. You're not going to be good. But
Yeah,
like,
and it hurt your wrist.
Yeah?
It's a heavy mallet.
Oh jeez. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh wowzers. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, the best experience you've had on a horse, the best competition, the biggest win. What's the biggest prize? How high have you gotten, or did you get?
Well, like there's levels in eventing, and it
Okay.
depends. Like for just like I have been basically training horses most of my life, so I'm kind of like the back person, so I'll train them to a certain level and then people will take them, like show them a little higher, but I haven't done like massive amounts of shows just because I can't afford it. It's kind of all about money.
That really sucks.
I mean, yeah.
Do you think you're good enough to compete with the big guns?
Yeah.
You do.
I think if
100% honest. You're not just gassing yourself up.
Yeah, if I had the horse and I had the time to put into it, yeah.
Okay. And when you say you have the horse, I like that you brought that up because this is a big question I've had when it comes to racing specifically, but even generally.
You're still going back to the racing.
I'm sorry,
it's
but
totally different from what we do.
Okay. I'm sorry, but if you had to choose, like a very skilled, like proficient, amazing rider versus like an amazing horse, like if you had the choice between the two, which would you go? Is it more the horse or is it more the rider?
Well, it depends.
I know the right answer has to be both, but.
Well, yeah, and plus that's a tricky question because these days it's a little upsetting. The eventing world has gone more towards the horse is really expensive and knows exactly what it's doing. Like you need a high level horse to jump these big jumps, and amateurs are buying these very expensive, very experienced horses that take them around. But it comes to a point where if you don't know what you're doing up there, you're gonna end in like horrible disaster, like falls or just hurting your horse, or what people these days have been. They want to do the big ones. They want to go to the big shows. They want all this like, they want people to notice them. So they buy these really expensive horses and they don't know what they're doing, and they end up either hurting the horse or they end up falling really hard and hurting themselves. Because these jumps that we do for eventing don't move, and sometimes when the horse hits, you will flip.
Oh. Wait, because when the very little of the jumping stuff that I've seen with the horses, the bars come off.
So so we have three. So eventing's like the triathlon of riding. So we have dressage, stadium, which is the jumps that you see.
Yeah.
They fall off, but cross country is dangerous. And they're getting better with their safety rules. They're getting more proficient with how the jumps are built and how they break if you do hit them. But we do jump over giant logs or big ditches or water, and it's like and it's slippery and they go fast. It's timed, so you got timed. You got these big giant jumps, probably over 4 feet. Yeah. And jumps that don't move. And if you get to a question out there and you don't know the striding, you don't know how fast your horse needs to go, you don't know where you need to take off, you can end up in a very sticky situation.
This is kind of amazing. So like I don't want to say horses are like dumb or silly, but like I feel like most animals just naturally know what to do, right? Like if they're running and if an animal is able to jump, they could just jump on their own.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. Or if it was like a thing like that, I could understand if they wanted to go around. But it is like entirely on the rider to make sure that the horse jumps at the right time.
Yeah, and sometimes the horses know their striding and like see their spot and can help you. It depends on like the experience of the horse.
Oh yeah, that's the
But
that's what the money buys you.
You're up there to help them and to tell them no, like this is where we're taking off. This is the safest way. Like instead of you, like sometimes they're just like, okay, we're going, and you're like, oh god, here I go, and then you fall off like me.
So you did just have a little bit of a fall.
I did.
I'm really sorry.
I did.
How often do you fall off horses?
I was due for a fall off. I haven't fallen off in a while, and I literally yesterday I go, I think today's the day I'm gonna fall off.
So you felt it coming?
Well, I just felt like I haven't.
Were you just off? Were you just off, like you personally?
No, I just I knew I was riding a baby horse that has been throwing her feet, and I've sat most of her crap that she was pulling on me, and I smacked her, and she just threw herself straight in the air and whipped her head forward and her butt up, and I just flipped over and landed. Unfortunately, not on my feet.
I'm sorry.
But that's and then you get back on and you do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're really brave to do that. Yeah, I'm a big wuss when it comes to injuries and stuff. I really once I'm injured or I'm hurt, I'm like, oh my god, like I go the whole nine. Forget
See,
about
I
it.
go the opposite way. I get a little upset with myself and angry, so then I get just back on, and
You get just back on.
because we were jumping and we were doing big jumps, and I was like, I will not miss out on this opportunity. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's my friend's horse, and she makes fun of me when I fall off her horse.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
So is there like any how many trainers are in this specific club?
Trainers right now that are licensed, there's 5.
5 of you. And is there like a competition between the 5 of you, or is it like
No.
I want my horse to be the best, or I want my kid to be the best?
No, it's not really a competition because we all teach at different levels. Like I normally, because I'm just starting out, I went from just training horses and riding myself to now teaching, and so I normally teach little peanuts, the beginners. I think I would get to, like I can do the stuff, but when it comes to teaching, it's just a little bit more difficult.
Of course.
Like I understand, but sometimes I get to a level of teaching, I'm like, well, I personally don't feel that I'm like capable of teaching this level of riding, because even though I know how to do everything, I don't know how to put it into words of other people. So we have Catherine, who's our head instructor, who teaches the more advanced, like me and the other instructors, and the more advanced riders. And then there's Megan, who teaches kind of a little bit more advanced than me, but I normally teach the little kids.
The peanuts. I like
The
that.
fun ones.
I like that name, the peanuts.
The peanuts.
The peanuts. So to be a peanut, do you just have to be a beginner, or do you have to be a certain age?
Well, I teach mostly like the little kids. Usually a lot of kids, I've had I think 2 recently new students that are older, and that are like in their 40s, but other than that, they're normally, the parents want to start them off young.
And I want to learn how to ride a horse. Right? I really do. But literally just ride a horse. No jumps for Q.
No.
Q's not jumping nowhere.
No.
Yeah.
Jumping comes way down the road. You don't introduce a jump to a person in like a year of
shit.
riding.
Well, maybe sooner than a year. I mean, I feel like I'm a quick learner. But
Yeah, it's funny, but then you get on these horses and then you're like, you panic. It's funny how people get on these horses and they're all confident, they know, and then they go to turn and they're like, this horse won't turn. I'm like, just give it a little bit harder pull. Give it a little. I don't want to hurt the thing. I'm like, just come on. It's just funny how like the mentality changes once you get on a horse.
Oh, no doubt. And how long did it take you? Did you pick it up quick? You said you started at 7. When you were a little younger, I feel, not that it's easier, but you just have more like
intuition. Yeah, I do have.
Like it just comes easier.
I was told I had a little bit more intuition than some people. I think just because I have a background, like uncles ride horses, and it's just in my blood, and I think I picked it up a little bit faster. But I mean, for safety reasons, you start slow with riding. It's not that you can just, now you can go, you know how to trot, now you can go canter. It's just because if that horse takes off, they want to know that you'd be able to handle that takeoff before you start cantering.
What is cantering?
Cantering is a gait above trotting. So it goes walk, trot, canter, gallop. Well, for English riding, for Western, it's a little bit different. They've got like jog and...
But it's like the same, path from slow to fast. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and gallop is a full-on, ride.
Run.
Okay.
Yeah.
My God. See, that's where I want to be. I want to be able to...
45-mile-an-hour gallop.
Whew. Whew. Sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that, are you able to do that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. The minute a horse just takes off, I love it. And I love a little buck. I love horses that are cheeky. I love them. I love to throw a little buck
toot.
there. Yeah.
Hey,
I love the attitude.
See, this one, right? Living life on
It's
the edge.
boring if it's just straightforward. You gotta give a little toot.
Of course, you always need that. You always
see
need that. So, if you were going to give some advice, I call this the Everyday Hero Show, and I, because I think you're doing things that most people I want to ride a horse. So, for me, I look up to Sophie because I want to ride a horse someday like her, 45 miles an hour. If you were going to give advice to a beginner, to one of your peanuts, what is the mentality? What do you think they should come with? What should they be prepared for if they want to start this whole horsing extravaganza?
They should just be prepared to have fun, but also work hard, because it's not all about just getting on the pony and riding. You have to learn how to tack up. You have to learn how to put a girth on. You have to learn how to do your stirrups, everything properly. It's not gonna come easy and fast. You're not gonna be running around the ring your first couple months. It's a slow process, but it's super fun, and it's nice to have a bond with an animal.
Okay. So you did. I mean, you've said it a few times, and it's not. It can't be for everyone because you're right. It's expensive. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
And
there's ways of working it off. Like we have a program where kids that can't afford it, they come, they work it off, and then they ride after.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what I did.
I think that's actually like the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So like you can work to ride.
Yeah. So we have a working
It's
student
amazing.
program, which I did when I was 15, and you do a lot of stalls, but it's totally worth it. But because we have a lot of horses here, but you do morning barn, which is cleaning out the stalls, doing the water, turn out, feed, and everything, and then right after you get to ride. So it works off.
So, Sophie here, we're going to stop with the conversation start. And if you don't mind, I would love for you to just introduce me to some of these pretty majestic, gorgeous looking animals.
All right.
I think that would be a little interesting if you're open to doing that. But I don't know. I think I am going to. But you're not going to be my teacher if I sign up, right?
Could be.
You could be. All right. Well, because I sign up because I am going to take a minimum of 3 classes. I really want to at least get on a horse, right? 3 classes, I'll be able to get on a horse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get
Or
on the horse.
pony,
the
whatever
first,
they
Yeah,
decide,
the first
but-
lesson you get on.
Oh, perfect. So
Yeah.
a minimum of 3, but with these prices, I might have to go shovel some doo-doo. I don't know. I don't know.
I did it.
But yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Last night, okay? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you're riding horses in England and you're
In England?
I don't know where the big horse ranges and the big horse competitions are in Kentucky, right? But when you're doing that, you know you have the best horses in all of the world. And Q calls you up and says, "Can I get another interview? Would you do me the honor?"
Yes.
Awesome. You heard it here. So now, let's go look at these beautiful horses. Beautiful.
All right.